Welcome to episode 35 of Cocktail Hour. Yay!
Yay. 35.
Yep.
That's awesome.
I know.
Wow.
Awesome. Woo-hoo! And today's guest author is the one and only, get ready to bow, people, Melissa Good.
Oh, for Pete's sake, folks.
So, yeah. We are very happy that you agreed to come on.
Oh, I was happy you asked me.
Yay. We're both South Floridians, for those of you listening, which is really awesome. And we're getting ready to we're moving on. Yeah.
I'm in the cold.
Yeah, you're in the cold. Yeah, you're in Wisconsin.
Wow, that is very cold. It's not very cold right now. It's the northern parts of the country has. I just heard it was 70 degrees in New York. Yeah, we've had 30s and 40s, which, while I enjoy it, is still, moderately terrifying. Yeah, it's kind of weird, isn't it? Yes.
Well, it probably means we're all going to have, your lungs are going to shrivel up and die hot summer.
And on that happy note.
The drink for today is the Mojito. Of course, Rev is the only one drinking.
Well, let me take a sip.
All right.
No, technically, I'm using the Mojito Martini recipe that you sent me yesterday because I don't like dark rum. Mm-hmm. And the first one that you sent had. Wait! Who puts dark rum in a mojito? This is just Andy went trolling for recipes because that's her thing, and the one that she sent me actually had spiced rum. Really? I said no. So. Yeah, so I'm using the light rum. I saw the pre-mixed ones at the liquor store had light rum, so that was what made my decision. So this has mint and lime juice and a whole load of rum. And so here I'm gonna have a taste. I like to smell it first.
Mm-hmm. It's like the whole experience, Color, taste, texture.
Last time I had a mojito actually was a pear mojito when I was on the Epic a couple of months ago.
That sounds not yummy.
But they always make it with light colored rum. I've never seen one with dark colored rum. Well, this is good. It's very limey. I like lime, so it's good. I can't taste the booze in it, so I imagine that's always falling down.
Oh no, we're in trouble now.
Fast forward 30 minutes from now. I love you, Andy.
Yeah, I've had it.
That much rum in it.
I've had it with light rum, and I've had it with gin. And I know I sent you a gin recipe too. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I was going to make it with that one until I saw, because I wanted to get as close to like what a standard one would be. So that's why I picked this one. Okay, good.
It's good. I like it. Good choice.
Nice, sweet. Well, I gave you a few. You selected that one, so I'm glad it worked out. I'm having a homemade lemonade, sweetened with stevia, and Melissa's having a water. So, the two people that aren't...
Sorry, I just came back from the Xena Con, and I picked up the usual Con Crud at the con, so... what's up with that? I saw several people commenting about Con Crud. Can you tell us about this? Is this a reoccurring phenomenon, or...? Pretty much, yeah. Every time everybody goes to a big con... you've got a 50-50 chance of coming out and coming away with some flu-type symptoms. So they just generally refer to, I don't know whether it's from just everyone being, staying up all night for 3 days or just all those people in that big room bringing all their germs in and making a mix. I don't know, but generally speaking, when you come away from a big con, you generally tend to come away sick. Yeah. So does that mean for GCLS I should wear a mask? Just bring, what's that, emergency, NRC? Oh, yeah, okay. Whatever that stuff is. Yeah, okay. I don't know. I think of other people and just slug that down. I completely forgot this time to do that, and so I suffer for it. Maybe instead of having people sign T-shirts this year, Andy, we could have people sign masks.
That's not right. Oh, you are so not right. Yeah, I wasn't going to do
work.
I wasn't going to do the T-shirt thing this year. We had to think of something else.
It actually was really weird to see people in masks, especially when you go overseas to see the people in Asian countries. Half of them are wearing masks. It's very strange.
Yeah. But there was nobody wearing masks at the con.
Not that I noticed, no.
Oh, okay. So there was supposed to be the final... Do you mind if we talk about it for a few minutes?
Sure, go ahead.
It was supposed to be the final journey.
It was supposed to be the final journey, yeah. A lot of the people that they asked to come participate, I think, were under that expectation. I know there's a lot of fans that mortgaged their house and sold their dog to afford the money to come out to the con because it was the last one. And I guess just before the opening of the con, I guess like Thursday, they sent a note around saying that it wasn't going to be the last con. So there was kind of mixed results with that.
Yeah.
The people who were coming for the first time, like the new people, were all really happy because they had a good time and they're happy they have another one to go to. But the people that actually came out there because it was the last one, not so happy.
Huh. Wow. Well,
so it's kind of like it's like the Cher. It's the first of the Cher retirement farewells.
Yeah.
That's not right.
But I think everybody, everyone had a good time, and they had a lot of good guests there from the show, so it was all good.
Yeah.
I saw Alti. I saw pictures of Alti.
Yep, Claire Stansfield was there, and she was really great, and Jennifer and Michael Hurst were there, and they were hilarious.
And who are they?
Aeolus.
Oh, okay.
And his wife also had a part in the show, but I'd be lying if I told you I remembered which one it was.
Okay.
Of course, Lucy and Renee were there, so.
You were on a panel, weren't you?
They dragged me up in front of the stage, and I had to talk for 20 minutes.
Oh,
so
wow.
Not quite a panel.
But you knew you were going to talk for 20 minutes. I mean, it's not like it was an impromptu thing, right?
No, yeah, I knew I was going to talk. I was actually out there at Creations as a Creations guest.
Oh.
For the convention, which made sense to me because they were trying to get a hold of anyone who had been a part of a show for any reason, because it was supposed to be the last one.
Yeah.
So.
No, so I understand that you actually wrote a couple of episodes. Is that right?
I did. I wrote 2 of them.
Which ones did you write?
It was the season 6 opener, Coming Home, and I think the 4th or the 5th episode of that season called Legacy.
Damn it, I'm still on season 5.
Oh, snap. What the hell? Get going.
I'm reading all the time. I got no time for TV.
Got no time for TV.
I'll get to it. And now I have extra incentive.
There you go, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'm going to try and make the one next year. I'll see.
Final one?
Yeah.
The post-final.
The post-final, yeah. I don't know how it'll work out. It didn't work out really well this year, but we'll see what happens.
I mean, the timing that they usually write it, they usually have it at the timing that they have is right after New Year. It's always like the first couple weeks of January that they have it, and like everybody's Christmas out, and you just got back to work. And,
Yep.
Say, oh, by the way, I just got back from Christmas vacation, but I got to go to Los Angeles for a weekend for a Xena convention. Yeah,
that goes there like a lead balloon. Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Well, I was talking to Melissa before you came on, Rev, and had mentioned how much stuff we've been reading. Mm-hmm. We talked about the Conqueror before, and for the show, I had decided that maybe reading one of the books of the Dar and Carey series would be a really good idea because the best of my knowledge, that's the most popular of the stories that you've written, Melissa. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that was the most popular, wasn't it?
Well, I have the body of work that's actually up on the internet that's mine. I would say the largest group of it is probably the Xena and Gabrielle fan fiction. Uh-huh. And then there's the Dar and Carey books. So I think the only other thing I think that's up there besides the Conquerors is the new science fiction one that I'm doing. Mm-hmm. So by process of elimination, that's probably my most popular Uber because it's the only one there is.
Yeah.
Yeah,
there's no competition. Just that one. It works out really well. So, Tropical Storm is the first one? Yeah. Yay! I have no long-term or short-term memory. So, you want to give us a little synopsis of what that story is about?
Well, that was actually the first non-Xena story that I wrote, and it is an Uber, which means it comes out of that whole tradition that we have of using alternative realities for Xena and Gabrielle. So I decided to set it to something I knew, so that it takes place in South Florida, and it takes place in the technology industry, so I wouldn't have to stretch too far in writing characters. Mm-hmm. And I basically put 2 characters, more or less in the world that I live in terms of IT services. Mm-hmm. One of them is in charge of a large IT company, and the other is a middle manager of a company that gets eaten up by the large IT company. And they get thrown together, and as in lesbian romances they tend to do, they fall in love and proceed along after that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, those sparks were flying.
So that was actually I was taking a break from Xena fan fiction when we weren't sure whether they were going to kill off Gabrielle or not.
What?
Yeah, and so I said, well, let me just do this for a while until we're sure what's going on with that storyline. And it turned out to be a series that's now 8 published books. So that was quite a diversion.
Yeah, nice. I went on to the second one after I read the first one. So, yeah, I love it. It's nice how when you read these stories, they don't feel rushed. I mean, there's obviously, things that happen to them that they weave and navigate through, and you have that interesting characters keep popping up to disrupt their unity and harmony, which is really quite cute. And I just loved it. And I loved that Barnett Bank reference because I worked for them years and years ago. So
it's actually really funny is in the published first one, we had to go through and take out a bunch of company names because we were afraid we were going to get sued. Because that was actually the first book of this thing that came out of Xena that was actually published. I was the guinea pig of that process. So I was the grandmother.
The grandmother,
I guess, of the whole publishing of uber fiction.
Huh. Interesting.
And so it was a little strange to actually go through that. I actually, because it came out of there, I actually had sent it over to Rob Tappert just to make sure. I said, look, this came out of my writing about Xena, and they're asking me to publish it, and is it, what do you think? And Rob was like, he's like, if you think there's more than one unique idea in Hollywood, you're wrong. So yeah, go ahead.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so it was a first writing effort, and I like to think I got a lot more practice after that, and I got better at it. Because sometimes I go back through those books, and gosh, I really wish I would have written it a different way, but that's water way under the bridge.
Yeah. Well, I've surely been entertained. Rev, you want to weigh in here?
Yeah, there are a few things I actually wanted to say about Tropical Storm. One of the things that I wanted to mention is that it's not so much in the first book, and I didn't reread. I read, I think, up through the 4th one online, but I also have read several of the Journey of the Soulmates stories, and one of the things that I always mention when I'm talking to people about these two groups of stories is how they're interwoven.
Yes.
So I've always wanted to know when you were writing Journey of the Soulmates, and the things that pop into my head automatically are the cracked stones or crystals that they wore, and how Dara and Carrie then later find them.
Yep.
And don't they find part of Xena's sword?
Yep.
Okay. So when you were writing Journey of the Soulmates, were you already writing Dara and Carrie? And if so, had you had that idea of crossing some of those things over?
Actually, I did. It was not something that I did deliberately ahead of time. I said, I'm going to plan this out, because nothing I write is ever really planned. It just kind of starts and it just continues on, then it ends at some point. But I did actually want to tie the two of them together. And so when I did, I tried to use little bits of things from the Xena and Gabrielle stories that I wrote. In other words, stuff that would be specific to me, and tie it into Dara and Carrie now and then, just to throw that in there now and then to make a point that there is a connection there. And then sometimes when they've asked me to write sometimes they ask me to write short stories for the Academy of Bards and things like that, and then I get actually really explicit and often have the two sets of characters interacting, but generally not in the published ones.
That was what I also wanted to ask. So I've only read the first one. I bought the 2010 author edition of Tropical Storm, right. And there's some hinting of the soulmate thing and that. But so how do you deal with those crossover things in the later published books where they had come up in the online versions?
Sorry, I don't understand the question.
Like when you have Darren Carey find the sword, the part of the sword or the necklaces that Xena and Gabrielle had worn.
Right.
Are those do you refer to those in the published versions of the books?
Yeah, they are. If the section that's in, so in other words, sometimes when I go to edit the books, there's parts of the online stories that don't make it in because they're extraneous, or I rewrite them for whatever reason that I'm thinking of when I'm rewriting them. But if they're there and they're part of the story, they stay as part of the story, because really, if you don't know about Xena, them finding a trunk in one of her relatives that has an old broken sword in it can mean just a relative's old broken sword. But if you happen to have read my Xena and Gabrielle stories, you get it's kind of like a little, what do they call them in software? Easter egg.
Yeah. And then one thing that we've been asking, we ask pretty much all of the authors that have online versions of stories that have been published,
right, is
what do you do to prepare the online version for publishing? And the reason that I asked specifically about Tropical Storm is I looked at, I pulled out my online version and then I pulled out the book, and the first scene has been rewritten a bit.
Right.
There's a bit difference, but then there's still some issues that weren't cleaned up, like Lou's last name changing spelling, Angela being referred to as Arlene, stuff like that didn't get cleaned up. So I was just wondering what type of process do you go through to prepare the online for publishing?
For the online for publishing, what I generally do is I take it out of the HTML format and I put it into a Word document. Mm-hmm. Then I'll go through it once. I'll run spell check on it. I'll try to go through and fix any gross irregularities on it. And then it goes to an editor. And the editor goes through and looks for things like grammar issues and tries to catch any of the continuity stuff.
Okay.
Then they'll send it back to me, and I'll take a pass through it. Once they do the first rough edit, they'll send it back to me. And then I'll go in and I'll adjust story scenes. If something doesn't read right in my head, I'll rewrite it. If it's something that I always intended the story to have, I'll put it in. If it's something that I think really doesn't belong in the story, I'll take it out, kind of thing. And then that goes back to the editor for a final edit and cleanup. And then it goes through a publisher's pass, I think 2 of them, at the publishing house, and then it actually gets put out.
Okay.
So especially with the early ones, not so much with the later books, because the continuity in the later books we actually had a better handle on.
Okay.
But the early ones, there was a lot of changes that had to be made. There's like Lou, her boss's. Her boss's name had to be changed because we'd start out with Les Alberthal, who actually was the CEO of EDS when I was working for there, and I didn't feel like I either wanted to have a lawsuit or wanted to be fired. So there were some things I had to go in and I had to change, and with all the going around and publishing and as many editions as they have, sometimes stuff just gets missed.
Yeah, and I
try not to though.
Yeah. I remembered that too, when I was reading the online versions, that her boss's name changed.
Yeah, it did, but that's why it changed, because most of the time if something like that changes, me going, naming a character after my real life boss, not necessarily a good idea.
Not so good.
Not that I think that they would have ever read it or that Lou or Les would have even cared, but still.
Yeah. You want to take a chance.
And then I just had one other thing that I wanted to talk about, and then I'm done.
What? Sure. Done?
Well, as done as I usually am,
okay, all right.
Which isn't really very done at all.
This is the end of the prepared questions.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
No. I never really prepare anything in advance. Not too much.
Okay. I never do either.
As soon as I got done reading Tropical Storm, I was supposed to go and start reading the second, the Queen of Hearts, but I had this overwhelming urge to reread Glass Houses.
Right, Lachlan's story.
Yeah, and so I wanted to ask you, what was that like to have somebody say, I want to write a story about making Tropical Storm into a film?
The entire experience of actually writing and being known for writing and have people recognize me as a writer has been surreal in the extreme. So that was just another layer of surrealness. I like Lachlan a lot, and it was fun to go through the whole process, and it was right around when we were all going to Dragon Cons and things together. So we had a lot of adventures in the making of that book, and it turned out to be an enjoyable experience. But it was just, between that and being asked by Renaissance Pictures to write scripts and stuff, it was a very surreal section of my life.
Well, how did Renaissance, now since you opened that can of worms, how did Renaissance Pictures know about you to begin with?
Well, you're just up to season 5?
Yeah.
Okay, so season 5 wasn't so good for Xena. She got pregnant, and they had, on the back end, they had a new set of writers actually take over, Orsi and Kurtzman, and they took the series down their path, where they wanted to take the series, and it caused a lot of consternation within the fandom. There's a lot of established storylines that got broken up. They tried to separate the characters. It just turned out to be just it's not the most popular season.
Yeah.
So when they were getting ready for season 6, Rob thought that he wanted to have a fan become involved in the writing of one of the episodes as a way of reconnecting with, especially the subtexture part of the fandom.
Mm-hmm.
And he asked Steve Sears if he had any suggestions, because Steve is very, very active in the fandom. He knows a lot of us personally. When he's at conventions, he walks around and takes pictures. He has a cute dog, So I was the name Steve gave him.
Wow. No kidding.
So that's how just a couple phone calls later, I was involved in the writing of a Xena episode.
That's pretty awesome, though.
It was definitely awesome. I had a great experience with it. They were an extremely professional group of people. They couldn't have been nicer or kinder to me in helping me through this whole process, which was quite strange, both for them and also for me. Because writing, I don't need to tell you, probably writing a script is a lot different than writing prose or writing a novel.
It's way different.
Yeah, way different.
Way
so
different.
They coached me through the whole process and let me go as far as I could with it. I mean, it could have ended up that they just took a story idea from me, or it could have just been a beat sheet. But Rob was willing to let me go as far as I could go, and it ended up with 2 filmed episodes. So
yeah, that's great.
It was great. All kudos to Rob and to the team out there. He was definitely a sweetheart and a gentleman, and just an all-around good guy.
Well, whatever projects Rob is involved in, just like Joss Whedon, I'll make sure I watch whatever it is.
Because it's going to be, whatever it is, it's not going to be dull.
Yeah, exactly. And I've really been enjoying the Spartacus series. Awesome.
I can tell you, I love Spartacus and I love watching it, but I see Lucy naked and it throws me right out of the story. Isn't that funny? Because I know her, so it's just like,
speaking of Lucy naked, on the very first, pilot episode for Spartacus, when, Lucy's getting serviced by one of her female slaves.
She's talking to her husband.
Yeah. I was like, I
can't think of anybody else who could have pulled that off.
I'm thinking to myself, damn, I didn't know they needed people for that. Damn, I would have tried it. No, but seriously, I mean, damn.
Lucy's unique.
Yeah, I mean, she's not afraid to do something new. That's for damn sure.
I don't think she's afraid of anything, actually. I think that she just, sails through life in the moment and enjoys herself to the utmost.
Good for her.
Yeah.
Good for her. Wow. Anyway, so I've been enjoying the hell out of that show.
Yes. Now that we've gotten over talking about Lucy Lawless naked.
Yeah, wow. I mean, it's like, blah, blah, blah. I've lost my concentration now. I just keep thinking.
And then we believe me, Lucy walked in the room at the convention. Everybody else's concentration went out the window. So
So since our concentration is all shot, I want to ask about your impressions of the last few episodes that I've been on of Cocktail Hour. We've had some discussion of the Xenaverse and the state of the community and things like that. Are you still? I mean, I know that you have Merwolf and you've got a really good solid base of fans and people that you interact with. What are your impressions of of the community and pretty much everybody that we talk to, when we talked to him about this, has said, it's pretty much disappeared, and it was a great time while it happened, but it's pretty much gone. Is that kind of how you feel about it too?
Well, I think there's a lot of people that were part of the fandom that have fallen away and are no longer part of the fandom. But I pretty much get emails pretty much every day or every other day from people who are coming new to the fandom, either through Netflix or through some other avenue where they're introduced to Xena. And they're brand new and they're interested and they want to read stories and they want to get involved. And that was really what we saw at the convention. I would say 50% of the people at convention were either that was their first convention or their second convention, or they just came to Xena just this year or last year. So the influx of new people and young women into the fandom surprised the hell out of me, frankly. I didn't expect it.
I wonder how many, we hear from a lot of people that, they start out reading, reading lesfic, published books, and then, the more that they connect with other readers and do some, search around online, everything's online, search around online, and then they find fan fiction. So I know several women who have started out where for a lot of folks it was the opposite. For me it was the opposite. I read a lot of several Naiad books back in the early 90s, right. And then I just kind of fell away from that, and then discovered fan fiction 3 or 4 years ago, and then kind of came back full circle again, back to Bella and Bold Strokes through writers like like Ali Valley and KG McGregor and you.
Well, it's true, but all of that came out of the Xena fanfic writers, the people that were attracted to writing fanfic for Xena.
Sure.
I think what was unique about Xena was the fact that for the first time, remember this is in 1984, 1985, whatever, 95, 96, whatever. For the first time, we saw a relationship on the screen that could be us, and it was okay. Renpick didn't make a big deal out of it. They didn't have them have hot mucky love on the screen, but they treated it like it was like, no big deal. Yeah. And I think that was a really special and precious thing, and that's why it got everybody involved in deciding to write stories for it. Not only for Xena Gabrielle, but for all of the offshoots, the Mel and Janices, and then off into Uberland, where people just took the characters and just went everywhere with them. Yeah. But a lot of that came out of Xena. And if you look at it that way, I don't know that will ever go away, because I think that's just going to grow and grow and grow and evolve over time to service the community. In terms of the show itself, I would say sure. That whole thing. It's been 15 years. The thing is, you can't say that that's fresh and new, and you don't get new episodes. The last episode was in 2001, for heaven's sake. But I think that those of us that went through that process will always hold Xena in a special place in our heart, because that's where a lot of this stuff began, where people all of a sudden found community where they really didn't expect to find it.
Yeah, you wrote some virtual seasons too, didn't you?
Yes. Myself and the team that did that was myself, T. Novan, Sue Beck, Linda Christ, and then we had Lucia Nobrega was the artist that was involved, and then we had a production team that was working on screen capping and formatting and things like that. So that was a very big group effort that did, I think, 3 seasons of virtual seasons.
And
there.
And you
where can we find those?
sbs.ozip.com.
Okay, so it's on Ozip?
Yep.
Okay.
Mary hosts it for us, bless her heart.
I thought you had a link on your site.
I probably do too.
Okay. Oh, and for those of you listening, Melissa's site is www.merwolf, merwolf.com. Where Merwolf? Where'd that come from?
That was something like whenever you make up your first online name, like way back in the day, it sticks with you forever. A merwolf is a heraldic device in the Society of Creative Anachronism. It is a sea wolf. It is the top half is a wolf and the bottom half is a fish. And it's my heraldic device for my SCA persona. And when I made my first email address, that's what the word came up. You know, when I was making my AT&T address, it was, let's just use Merwolf because that's unique. You know, chances are nobody else is going to have it. And it has stuck with me to this day. I mean, I haven't participated in the SCA in probably 15 years. And yet the Merwolf is alive and well. And that's where it comes from.
And your fans are known as Merpups?
Yep.
We're Genesis, just because of a wolf and a pup?
Yep.
Okay, all right. Nothing extra special, just wolf and pup, okay.
No, just, sometimes the people that were involved in the SCA with me, we get together, sometimes we laugh about it. It's like, that's the strangest place a heraldic animal for the SCA ever ended up, I guarantee you.
That's awesome. So, and you're still writing Xena stuff?
I am.
Oh my God.
I love writing Xena. The characters are two of my favorite characters in the world.
Yeah.
And they're just a joy to write. They're a joy to make stories about. And as long as stories keep occurring, I'll keep writing them.
Loving it.
I do it as an alternating thing. I usually do a Xena story, and then I'll do a Conqueror, and then I'll do a Dark Carry, and now I've got this science fiction thing that I'm doing.
Yeah, tell us about that, because I haven't read any of that.
It's Partners. It's only available online right now, although I've contracted to publish it. I'm probably 75% of the way through it, and it's kind of a post-apocalyptic story about characters on an Earth that's been devastated, that there's probably only 3 or 4% of the human race left, that they mostly live by and on the sea, that unfortunately, even though you'd think they'd cooperate at this point, there's still an us and a them, and the characters I have is a kind of a soldier of that day, and a made up kind of I would say a clone, but a constructed person that was designed to be an assistant to the soldier, and they go through a series of adventures and have to learn how to survive in this extremely hostile world with everybody trying to kill them. So it's very different than anything that I've done before. But when I look at it, science fiction is something that I've started with science fiction. I mean, I've read every science fiction book in the entire library in North Miami Beach, and then had to go to the Dade County Library System and start there. So sci-fi has always been where my roots are. So I thought it was about time that I took a story there.
Yeah.
Interesting.
I've enjoyed what I've read so far of that.
It's been a lot of fun, I have to say.
Both Rev and I came to fan fiction very, very late. Not the genesis in the beginning when it was all, high drama and and people couldn't wait to get home and get online. Yeah. But I heard that, and I don't know how I ran across that, but apparently there was a lot of talk about the Conqueror stories that had come out when they had started coming out.
Yeah.
And there's a big schism, I guess, in the community about Conqueror stories. Were you involved in any of that? Can you do the Wayback Machine on us?
There were huge schisms in the community about pretty much everything.
Oh, okay.
Color of Xena's leathers, whether she was a top or a bottom. I mean, anything you could possibly imagine, we had a schism over. And we had a schism on the subtexter side, and then, of course, we had the huge schism between the subtexters and the shippers, who were the people who wanted Xena and Ares to be having sex, and Xena and Gabrielle and Joxer to be having sex. And, so we had...
wait, I got to get that out of my head.
No, it was. So, I mean, it was what it was. We had schisms over pretty much anything we could schism over. I don't actually remember there being that huge a schism over the Conqueror, except that I can imagine there were a lot of people who felt that I would imagine there were a lot of people that felt that it was celebrating an abusive relationship. And
but she was. But in most cases, I mean, Xena is very. I mean, I've read a few Con Crud stories where she's a little abusive with Gabrielle, but the vast majority of them, Gabrielle's the only one that she's not.
Right. So I don't really, but I can imagine that's what the schism would have been over, because there were people who were very very protective over Gabrielle. So I'm thinking that I can't imagine what else the schism would be over in that regard, because I mean Xena was just being Xena.
Yeah.
I came very late to the Conqueror. I got forced into writing a Conqueror story by Maribel Piloto, who is online known as Lunacy, the reviewer, who's also a South Floridian, by the way.
Yeah,
is she the one that was featured in Glass Houses as your pal at Disneyland?
I'm sure probably
Disney
she was. But she's a librarian. She works for the Day County Library System down here.
Yes, that would be her then.
Sweet.
So she's a real person, and she stood up at the last Xena convention that I was actually attending on stage, and made me promise to write a Conqueror story. So that's how that ended up.
And you just kept going and going and going.
Well, once characters kind of get a hold of you, they kind of get a hold of you, and if they have a story to tell, you really don't have a lot of defense against that. I mean, you kind of got to write it down or you go nuts.
So you're one of these people in the middle of the night, you wake up and go, oh my God, and you start writing something because you got a little pad and a pen next to your bed?
Well, I have 17 laptops in this house. I mean, I am a technologist, so there's no pens and papers. But yeah, more or less.
Yeah, but cracking open a laptop, I mean, that takes a little extra effort.
No, they stay on.
So you got to wiggle it and put in the password is what you're saying?
No.
Oh, okay, they're just on?
Yeah.
No screensaver, no nothing?
No.
Jesus, sister.
Yeah, you can see the room that I'm in right now. There's 3 laptops in here.
Oh my hell.
There's one that I'm Skyping on, then I have a Linux desktop that I'm looking at, and then I have something else that's playing something on television. So,
my wife would leave me in a heartbeat for you.
That ain't right.
Yeah. So.
Oh God. So
I come by the tech honestly.
Yeah, she's a programmer. I'm a DBA. We get the kid's a geek. Yeah, we don't have 17, but it's not a far it's not a far cry.
Not only is technology something that I've just always been a part of. I think the internet is a very important part of what is now allowing people to create community that never existed before. I mean, I remember the first time I went to when I was young and reading science fiction. I just read the hell out of science fiction, and that was a little strange at that point because the rest of the girls in my neighborhood were playing with my prancing pony. So I'm sitting there reading Asimov. It was definitely made you feel a little bit of an outsider. And I remember going to my very first science fiction convention. It was a little baby one at some little motel in North Miami Beach. And it was like, 3 dealer tables and a big room where they were showing Star Trek bloopers. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, but still, it's like your peeps.
You walked in there and all of a sudden you were surrounded by people that you weren't weird there.
Yeah, that was your peeps. Oh, the light goes on.
It was like, oh my gosh, there's other people that like this stuff. Xena was kind of like that.
Wow.
Where all of a sudden you walked into a room and wow, there's a lot of people that are like me here.
Wow.
And it was the internet actually made that come together because you really couldn't. Otherwise, how would you find all those people? I mean, science fiction conventions, that's one thing because they do have them here and there and Dragon Con and whatever. But if you didn't have the internet so you could find the rest of the people that like Xena or like Buffy or like whatever, how would you get in touch with them?
Yeah.
So I think it's important in that it now allows people to find a voice and find community. So the internet for the win.
Yeah, I'm on it almost 24 hours a day.
Yeah, you need both. Well, yeah. I can't
mean,
imagine.
We're making a podcast.
Yeah, right.
And we've got, even just on the forum, I mean, we've got regular contributors, we've got Germany, Australia, we've got, people all over the UK, all over the US.
Important about that is when you actually come together and people have talk and they chit chat with each other, they learn that the people that are in Germany and in Scandinavia and in Japan, they're not very different.
No, not at all. Not at all.
It makes the world a very, 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 very much smaller place when you actually see that you can't just say, oh, it's us and them. Okay, well, them are just like you.
Yep. That's exactly right.
They have slightly different color hair, and they speak funny.
And they speak differently. Right, exactly. Exactly.
So maybe someday, 4 or 5 generations from now, everyone will cut out with the us and them thing, and the world will be a better place. I think it'll take a little bit more evolving, though.
Well, we'll have teleportation, so, it won't be that, it won't
I'll just look forward with that so I won't have to deal with those 9-hour flights over the Atlantic.
Yeah, right? Ugh.
Spent a lot of time in Europe,
yeah. Last time we went to Paris, I'm like, there's got to be a better way.
God. Gotta be a better way. Would you fly France?
No, continental. Thank you.
Oh, sorry.
Lordy. It was bad. It was bad.
Well, but you know what? None of them. Well, I usually fly Lufthansa over there, so at least you get good beer on the flight. What can I tell you?
Well, shit. Your company's probably picking it up.
Yes, but they only pick up tourist seats. We don't get to fly over there first class.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I haven't flown anywhere first class yet.
If you've been on a 10-hour flight, actually, I've flown to Hong Kong for NCL. So if you've been on a 24-hour flight in the back, you just want to kill yourself.
I bet. Take some good drugs, knock yourself out.
You for 24 hours. There's no drugs good enough.
Damn.
To do that. We were just glad when we came back by sea. So it took us 3 weeks to come back, but it was a lot more comfortable.
Isn't that the same kind of flight time going to Australia?
Let's see, I've been to New Zealand 4 times. It's about 18 straight hours of flying, but we usually...
that's what it is when we go to Japan.
Yeah, when I usually go over there, I usually break my flight in California, so I'll usually fly to California, overnight in California, and then take the 12-hour flight out to Auckland.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Breaks it up, yeah.
I highly recommend New Zealand for vacation. It's awesome.
Yeah, but it's pretty expensive to get out there, though.
Keep an eye out for specials. We've been very lucky. The last couple times I went out, I was able to catch specials that were like $800-900.
Oh, wow, really?
Yes, which was not bad at all.
Well, crap, that's about what it's cost me to fly to Vancouver.
Yeah, right?
Damn it.
The most expensive ticket I was there was I got invited over to see Lucy and the Vagina Monologues. And I think that was a $1,200 ticket.
Where?
It was sort of last minute.
Wait, where? Where was it at?
Auckland.
Oh. You flew out to see Lucy and cost you $1,200?
Well, yeah. I mean, because it was last minute.
Oh, Lordy.
It was one of those things, hey, come on out and see Lucy and Vagina Monologues. Okay. Glad I went. She was awesome.
I bet she was.
Danielle McCormick was even better. I mean, we're talking, I laughed so hard I had a stomachache for 3 days, but, still.
Nice. Very nice. All right, so are you a Mac or a PC person?
A Mac.
Yeah, you go, girl.
Well, I obviously use a PC at work, but I actually am a Linux person rather than a Windows person. I have a couple of Macs here and an iPad and things, and 2 Linux. I have a Linux desktop and a Linux laptop that I use.
Linux, that's IBM?
No, Linux is a free and open source operating system.
All right. I'm not a techie.
It's okay.
I enjoy using my Apple products, but I'm a plug and play.
Apple actually runs on Unix.
All right. See,
that's what OS X is. The X.
Yeah.
Is Unix.
Oh, okay.
So that's on. If you take away all the pretty, you get the same thing underneath. It's a different operating system than Windows.
My God, I can't stand Windows, but I use it at work because they won't buy Macs.
Me too.
Bitches.
I had Ubuntu for a while.
Yep. A what?
Ubuntu. It's a Linux based.
Actually, the Ubuntu is almost to the point where you can give it to normal people.
Almost, yeah. Oh, my kid uses it.
Yeah, not quite, but almost.
It's not quite for you yet, Andy.
Okay, because I'm already like zoning out.
But I have to say, with the Ubuntu distros, it's actually more compatible with a lot of things than Windows is. I mean, there's some things that I've plugged into it for USB where it's just picked it up, not a problem. Where with Windows, I've had to go and find drivers and download them, and God knows what else.
Yeah.
Yeah. I gotta do something. I got 3 or 4 computers that just aren't, they're outdated and antiquated, and I don't know what the hell to do with them. I want to take the guts out and beat them with a hammer and then throw it all in the trash.
You know what's good about Ubuntu is you can actually run it on a PC that you can't run Windows 7 on.
What's that?
You could actually run Ubuntu on an older PC that you can't really run Windows on. That Windows like crawls with.
Yeah.
You can actually put Ubuntu or one of the Linux distros on there, and it's fast as heck.
Really? Yeah, my brother and my wife have done that. Yeah.
Huh. So when are you coming up to West Palm? I bet we could.
It's actually not that far. I'm at the southern part of Broward.
I was thinking we could probably, give you a nice big Italian meal and put a computer in front of you.
Well, I tell you, the desktop I have, I put it together from parts that I bought from Newegg. The whole thing cost $300.
Damn, really?
Yeah, it doesn't have to cost much anymore.
Damn.
It's not the bad old days. We used to spend $3,000 for a computer.
Yeah, no kidding. Holy crap. I still can't figure out how to run some of the stuff that's on my Mac, though. I mean, we'll have to talk offline on that.
Yeah, I was just going to say, this is probably not interesting, your audience.
Yeah, probably not. They're probably like, what the hell? Should we go out and have a bathroom break? Let it keep running?
How did we get on that subject?
Oh, God.
So let's talk explicit sex.
Hey, yeah, let's talk about explicit. Oh, you know what? Hold on, people. Everybody stop for a minute. So we're
Andy had to go pee. I'm telling you.
I did.
Get that on tape, right?
Yep, absolutely.
That damn lemonade just, I kept holding it, kept holding it, and then you want to talk about explicit stuff. Oh, no, I got to go to the bathroom now. I don't know what the correlation is. I just had to go. Whew. Okay, so we're going to talk about explicit sex.
Oh, that's right. We were going to talk about explicit sex. So,
like as in I don't have any?
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, you don't, but I mean, you have that kind of, well, not really fade to black. I mean, I think in Shadows of the Souls.
Yeah.
There was more than I had remembered, but again, not explicit.
Yeah, no, I never, and I don't know that it was a conscious decision. I just, I think because I write so much in such a long story, and it tends to be almost a real-time story, that to describe that same act over and over and over again takes more imagination than I possess. There's just so many places you can put hands and fingers and tongues, you know what I'm
saying? That's awesome.
I mean, we're talking, I have like 20,000 pages here.
Yeah, I get that.
So that was just something I just decided I would go as far as the scene wanted to go, and if the scene wanted to fade to black, it did. And if it wanted to be a little bit more explicit, it was.
Yeah, I think that the first one in the Conqueror series that you did, I think that had quite a bit. I mean,
it did because it had a purpose.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And then I'll be honest, I only reread a bit of the second one. Well, not Merciless Solstice, because that's just a little tiny short, but Queen of Hearts.
Right.
And I noticed that at least where I had gotten to, it was like not mentioned at all. Maybe it was later on. I don't recall. But
it's just as the story progresses, if that's what they're doing at that, it's kind of like when they take a drink of water. If that's what they're doing at that time, it happens. But it's not something that I put into the story. In other words, like every 3 pages, you have to have a sex scene, sort of thing.
Yeah, but you're one of the few authors that can get away with that, in my opinion.
Well, I think because I write for me, so. I write and I put it out there, and if people like it, that's great. If people want to read something else, that's great too.
Yeah. Well, you always have something going on in your story, so I can't say I don't miss the explicit sex. I don't miss it in your stories. Some of them, like Rev said, some of them are a little bit more involved than others. But yeah, I mean, it's just the way you tell a story. And the pacing, I don't miss it. I don't. I know, I'm shocked. People are going to faint when they hear that.
Yep.
Seriously.
Oh, I have a question.
Sue Beck, who's actually a friend of mine, we used to joke about it, that people would just sort of get weaned into into fan fiction with my stuff, and then they'd move on to hers for the hard stuff.
Is she still writing, do you know?
She does, but not in the Xena fandom.
Oh, okay. What fandom does she run off into?
I'm not sure she was writing Starsky and Hutch. I don't know if she's currently doing that, though.
Oh, okay.
I had no idea there was a Starsky and Hutch fandom.
Oh, honey, please.
Well, is it fanfiction.net, I think?
Yeah, fan fiction.
Yeah. I mean, oh my God, they got fandoms for everything.
Please, you have Barbie and Ken fan fiction. Yeah. I mean, people will write about anything.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, we had on another project that I do. I had found some sneeze fetish fan fiction. It was actually Xena and Gabrielle. What? Yeah, sneeze fetish.
What the fuck?
Could you do me a favor? Don't explain to me what that is.
Yeah.
It's very self-explanatory. There's no explanation involved.
Well, you know what sneezing is. You know what a fetish is. So it works out.
There you go. Okay.
Lordy.
You learn something new every day.
Every day.
So yeah, I mean, just to go back to there's everything out
something
there.
For everybody.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, there's something for everybody. So I mean, it's all good.
Mm-hmm. Oh, what was your big burning question? Did I miss it?
I wanted to. This came up. When we were talking about Shadows of the Soul, or on episode 30. There were actually two things, and you use this a lot. I think you use it more than any other author that I've seen, using Hades as a replacement for hell.
Yes.
And I don't understand that because maybe I just always wanted to ask that.
I guess because I tend to put profanity into my language almost as though it's part of the language. I've actually been very good on the podcast here. I really haven't done that, but to me, it's a natural part of the language, and to have them say hell would make no sense.
But Hades is a god instead of Tartarus, which would be like the equivalent of hell. So I don't.
To be honest, because of Tartarus, sometimes I do say Tartarus. Not very often. I usually say Hades because it's closer to hell, so people know what I'm talking about. And when I say Tartarus, I tend to think of what's that food that's raw meat.
Oh, steak tartare?
Tartare. It's kind of a bad association.
Yeah, no kidding.
Okay.
Thanks. Now I got it. Appreciate that. Damn it.
Got it. Okay. And then the other thing that had come up was, and we had Anne McMahon on, and she actually offered a suggestion about why this may have happened. All throughout the first of the series, we all know who Taurus is. We know what he's there for. We know, that he's Xena's brother. And he's there all the time, but there was, but Xena never figured it out. And then there was the scene where all of the servants were out in the courtyard lined up, but Taurus wasn't there. Right. So it seemed odd to me that he would have been there the whole time. We all knew he was there, and Gabrielle never mentioned him at all, or Xena didn't figure it out. Nobody had figured it out.
Well, and I think he was taking a lot of pains not to see Xena. He was taking a lot of pains to stay hidden, to remain part of the undercroft of that castle, to not ever get in her view, while he was working to foment his revolution to get back at her. Because I think he knew that if she ever saw him and recognized him, she'd just kill him.
Yeah, the jig would have been up.
Yeah, I mean, there would be no story there. So the challenge was to actually keep him out of sight so that Xena didn't see him and didn't know and didn't realize that was actually what it was. Because also, I mean, if she knows and sees and can figure out everything, okay, it's kind of like a MacGuffin. It's kind of like MacGyver. You just give her a screwdriver, she'll make it work. To humanize the character, it's kind of like this whole thing has been going on underneath her nose, and she hadn't realized it. For me, it humanized the character a little bit.
Okay.
All right. Okay. Well, is there anything anybody wants to talk about?
I got nothing.
I got nothing. I think we've covered everything.
I think so. Oh, except for Who Would You Fuck?
Oh, yeah, we didn't play Who Would You Fuck? Oh, my God. Okay,
so what's this game?
Okay, this game is, it's similar to the other one that you hear about, who would you kill, marry, or fuck. But it's just, we said we don't care about who you kill, who you marry. We just want to know who you fuck. But we do it in context of the characters you've written in stories. So you got Dark, Carrie, Xena and Gabrielle. We got some, some ancillary characters. So essentially, it's who of all that hodgepodge and mix, who would you fuck?
Who would you want to take to bed?
Exactly. Well, since you've written Xena Gabrielle, I'm voting for Gabrielle. That's all I'm saying.
Well, it's funny because
there's different Gabrielles.
I will tell you, Gabrielle has always been the closest character to my heart.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know that I'd ever want to fuck any of them.
Oh, damn.
Honestly, okay, I mean, if you think about it, you're so close to the characters when you write them, right?
Yeah.
So, like, you're thinking, I'm going to fuck either one of these characters, and their partner's going to kill me.
No, yeah, that's true too. That's true too.
How painful is that for the other character?
Yeah.
And when you live as closely with these characters as those of us that write them extensively, I don't know. When my characters are unhappy, I feel it. All those emotions I feel when I write. So I wouldn't want to deliberately make one of them unhappy, even to get the lay of a lifetime.
All right, so just ruin our game, damn it.
Sorry.
Oh, God. Okay, well, I guess Rev.
I
told you it wasn't controversial.
I guess not. Damn it.
Not even with fictional characters.
Not even with
fictional characters. I gotta live with them in my head,
Nah, I get you. You're more like real people. Yeah.
Imagine getting whacked in the back of the head with one of those staffs.
Forget it.
I would go with Gabrielle from the Journey of Souls. Journey of Soulmates.
Really?
I would too, especially the later incarnation of her, the last story they wrote, because I try to write them growing up through. Every time I write them, they change.
Mm-hmm.
And I kind of like where I left Gabrielle off at the very last story.
Yeah, I think she's a little too immature and too happy and peppy in the Conqueror series. And Carrie, I like her pretty well, but she's got some issues. So I'm gonna go with Gabrielle from Journey of Soulmates.
Yeah, I think that's reasonable.
Just do it when Xena's not around.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, this is this is just pretend. Xena gave her permission.
Yeah, Xena gave permission. There you go.
Yeah. The one true controversy I have people writing me hate mail for is in one of the stories I actually had her having sex with Taurus. Gabrielle, not Xena.
Yeah, that'd be a little gross.
Because that would be controversial.
Yeah, right.
Believe me, this was controversial. I had people writing me hate mail. I'm like, guys, as far as she knows, the only way to get a baby is to get a guy involved.
Yeah.
And she doesn't have a whole lot of choices. So that was my one huge big.
Well, I could see why you picked Taurus, because it's the closest looking to Xena.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Interesting.
People did not like it. I still get hate mail for that.
Ah, fuck them.
Guys, I made it right.
That's not right. Well, thank you, Melissa, for being on the show.
Thank you for asking me.
It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, this was fun. Of course, your avatar is really hilarious to be staring at on the Skype screen.
Which one is it?
It's a clamshell with a beard.
Oh, it's the bearded clam.
That's Rev. Yeah, Rev and her bearded clam.
My friend Erin made that for me.
It's freaking hilarious.
Thank you. I'll let her know that you like it. I love that bearded clam.
Yeah, Rev came up with a bearded clam idea, and then she tried to peddle it out to see if authors would use it in stories, but she couldn't get it done. Then decided to do what?
We had to do a writing challenge, and I got a bunch of authors using it.
We had to do a writing challenge. That's awesome. Oh. Okay, so next show, we are going to have a special guest on. Are you ready, people? I know you are. And I had to look it up on the calendar. That's why I'm delaying. It's Liz McMullen as the co-host. Yay! And Carson Tate. Can you believe it? Carson Tate's coming on. And we are also going to talk about a short series in the fanfic world, The Nipple, and its permutations by Katya Davis. So there's Nipple 2, The Re-Erection, Nipple 3, Twin Peaks, Nipple 4, Therein Lies the Nub, and then Nipple 5, The Second Coming.
And who is this? Who's the author?
Katya Davis. She goes by Archeobard.
Huh. Interesting.
Yeah.
I'm not familiar with that.
Oh, it's hilarious. It is hilarious. It's a Xena Gab fanfic.
Well, that should be loads of fun.
It will be loads of fun.
You should have the slippery nipple.
Maybe. Well, of course, I'm not drinking, so I guess Liz would have to have a slippery nipple.
Well, there you go.
There you go.
Sounds like you've had enough lemonade there. I hear it slurring going on.
Yeah, what the hell? I don't know. I'm not drinking, and I'm not doing drugs, so go figure. I don't know.
High on life, baby.
Exactly. All right. Well, goodbye, everyone, and thank you for listening.
Well, damn, that was abrupt.
I know, right? I'm just like, cutting it off.
Well, shit. All right, well, thanks for coming on, Melissa. It was nice to meet you.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun, guys.